back to the Business Playbook. I'm Shreya, and this is my co-host, Jackie. And today, unfortunately, we will not be interviewing someone, but we will be getting more into that on Tuesday, so look out for that. And sorry we're a little late this time due to external affairs, but today we're going to be breaking down one of the biggest ways athletes make money through sponsorships and endorsements.
That's right. Whether it's a $1 billion deal with Nike or like a small local business that is sponsoring an up-and-coming athlete, sponsorships usually they fuel the business side of sports.
So in this episode, we'll be talking about what sponsorships and endorsements really are, how athletes can land the deals, and we'll be talking about what companies look for when they're trying to get someone to sponsor, and even some of the challenges they're gonna have to face.
Okay, so let's start.
Okay, so first things first, let's go over what the difference between a sponsorship and endorsement really is, because if you really think about it, people mix them up a lot.
Yeah.
So and they're a pretty different thing.
Okay, so I believe that sponsorships are just when a company financially supports a athlete, team, or event, and then in exchange for brand exposure. So for example, Red Bull, they sponsor extreme sport competitions, events, and this allows them to put their logo everywhere, from athlete jerseys to banners, and even their social media campaigns. So yeah.
Okay, and then so after that we have endorsements, and what they are is where an individual person or an athlete, they partner with a brand and then they start promoting their products. If you think of Serena Williams, or you even think about Cristiano Ronaldo, he has clear shampoo and she has Nike.
And endorsements don't always mean about big TV commercials. A lot of them happen using social media. Companies don't just pay athletes about their products. They also pay them for wearing their gear in competitions, and just even mentioning them during their interviews.
Yeah, exactly. So throughout this episode, just remember that sponsorships usually involve the entire team, while endorsements, they're more individualized and they're more personal.
With all that being said, how do athletes even land these deals? A lot of people, they think that they need to be world champions or gold medalists in the Olympics, but that's not always true.
Yeah, so in today's world, winning definitely helps. It'll always help. But an athlete's personal brand is just as important, because companies want athletes that are able to market themselves. They have a strong digitalized presence, so they are able to connect with their fans easily, or they can influence people to buy certain products.
Exactly. This is why social media has been a huge game changer, and even if an athlete isn't the best at their sport, they can still land sponsorships if they have a strong online presence.
Yeah, and going back to figure skating, a great example of a figure skater that this happened to was Adam Rippon, and he wasn't the most known skater or exceptional, but he was the most decorated skater in history, which is why he had a massive social media following, and he has a strong personality and a unique story, which makes him very memorable and very influencing to sponsorships.
And this also applies to niche sports too, for example, archery and figure skating. If you're an athlete in a smaller sport, sharing training videos, competition highlights, and just personal stories online can really help attract brands.
Yeah, so if you're trying to get a sponsorship or an endorsement, it really helps to just reach out to brands directly, cold email them. And if you have a certain type of gear or product that you use very regularly, just tag the company in your posts, or comment on their content, and make sure they know who you are to build a strong relationship.
That's a great point. Many athletes, they start from by securing small deals with local shops, businesses before moving up to bigger sponsors.
Alright, so from a business perspective, what do companies actually look for when they're about to offer an athlete a sponsorship or an endorsement?
Well, there's three things. There's the audience size, engagement, and then also brand fit.
Okay, well, to break that down, the audience size is obvious. The bigger following you have, the more content creation you have, and the more exposure you have. But it's not always just about numbers. Engagement is just as important. So a smaller athlete with 10,000 loyal followers might be more valuable to them than a superstar with just 1 million inactive followers.
And brand fit is huge. Like a health and fitness company won't sponsor someone who never talks about like training, wellness, and just like that type of like gist of stuff. Like they want athletes who align with their values, and then they're also like their target audience.
Yeah, and if you think about it, that's why some athletes who are smaller but have a very strong personality, they get more deals over a person who people think may be more successful.
Sponsorships are great, but they come with like a bunch of unspoken challenges too. For example, like people like they lose deals over some like stuff as like poor performance, scandals, and also just like expressing their own personal opinion.
Yeah, that's why I think athletes should be a lot more careful when they're out in public, because we've seen this happen a lot in the industry. Like if you take Tiger Woods for example, after his personal scandals, several brands dropped him and he was huge. Or Colin Kaepernick, he lost all of his endorsements after his NFL protest.
Another controversy is like what athletes choose to endorse. Should a fitness role model like promote fast food? Like would that make sense? Should young athletes endorse like betting companies, like gambling and stuff? Like these deals can be profitable, but they can also hurt the athlete in the long run.
Yeah, but I also think that's a thing that a lot of athletes have to think about before they sign with an endorsement or a sponsorship, because it's more about quick money versus a long brand reputation.
Alright, if you're an athlete looking for a sponsorship right now, here are 3 things that you can do.
The first thing that you could do is you could build a strong online presence. That means post training videos you have, competitions, and personal stories. And another thing you should do is you should engage with brands and make sure they know who you are. So you should tag them if you're posting this stuff, comment on their content, or just show that you really like their products. And make sure to be professional, because companies are looking for athletes that can represent themselves well, because if you paid attention before, then you would know about what happened to like Tiger Woods, for example.
It's not just about being the best in your sport, it's also being like marketable and making yourself valuable to the brands.
Okay, so that's a wrap for today's episode. So as you learned today, sponsorships and endorsements are a huge part of the business behind sports. Any athlete, big or small, can work towards landing deals if you represent yourself well. Okay, well, that's a wrap for today's episode. And as you learned today, sponsorships or endorsements, they're a huge part of the business behind sports. Big or small, it can lead to landing a massive amount of deals.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, share, and let us know what you think. You can follow us on our social media handles, which is in the description in the bio.
And if you're an athlete looking for a sponsorship or a brand wanting to connect with sports, reach out. Until next time, this is the Business Playbook, where sports and business collide.
See you next time.